They say that some places are thin, where the fabric between worlds isn't as tightly woven, where reality sometimes leaks. In a clinic, in Lima, Peru, a woman arrived with no visible injury, yet half her body was paralyzed. No visible trauma, no disease, no cause, just fear and a story. A story that began in the mountains, in a forest known by locals as a place that doesn't always obey the rules of time or space. But what really happened that night in the Marawasi Stone Forest? Was it a hallucination born of altitude and fear, or a momentary slip through a door we're not meant to find? This isn't a ghost story. It's a case study, a mystery carved into the folds of a real patient file. And as we walk through it, you'll have to ask yourself the same question Dr. Santenno did. If everything you thought you knew says this can't be real, but your gut says it absolutely is, what do you believe? She walked into the clinic like any other patient, but her presence sent a ripple of unease through the room. Half her body dragged lifelessly. The other struggled to compensate. Dr. Santenno had seen many strange cases during his career in Lima, Peru. But this was different. No visible trauma, no stroke, no brain lesions. Her scans were clear, yet she was paralyzed. Left side hemiplegia with no physical cause. As he studied her file and watched her struggle to sit upright, he could feel it. He could feel something unnatural. And then she began to tell him what had happened. It started in the Marawasi Stone Forest, high in the Andes Mountains, about 60 kilometers from Lima, where locals believe there are strange energies and ancient watchers hidden within the eerie rock formations. She and her friend had gone there to camp, looking for nothing more than silence and starlight. But the forest had other plans. Unable to sleep, they wandered from their tent. The moonlight etched twisted shadows across the stone, but what drew their attention was the faint hum of music, otherworldly, delicate, as if piped in from another time. As they followed it, lights flickered ahead. A cabin, old, faintly glowing, nestled in between rocks and trees that they were sure hadn't been there before. They went closer. Through the cracked wooden doorway they saw people, dancing, laughing, draped in the fashions of centuries past. Long coats, corsets, powdered wigs. It was a masquerade straight from the 1700s. And then curiosity got the better of her. She leaned forward, too far, crossing the threshold, and instantly collapsed. Her friend screamed, yanked her back into the cold night. But it was too late. Something had changed. She could no longer move half her body. Her muscles were dead weight, her breath uneven. The music had stopped. The lights dimmed. The cabin was gone. When they returned to their campsite, a park ranger found them. They tried to explain. He frowned, confused. There were no cabins in that part of the forest, hadn't been for decades. Dr. Santenno listened, skeptical, but he couldn't explain her condition. Days passed, then weeks, and slowly, she recovered. The paralysis melted away like frost in the sun. He never found a diagnosis, just a story. A story of a night where time forgot itself, and maybe where one universe touched another. Dr. Santenno was trained to look for answers, clinical, logical answers. But every test, every metric returned the same. Normal. No lesions, no stroke, no neurological damage. Her body offered no clue. Only her memory did, but that was a map that led nowhere. What disturbed him was the conviction in her voice, the steadiness with which she described that cabin, that dance, that moment of crossing over. She spoke not like someone hallucinating, but like someone who had survived something very real. As she slowly regained her motor function, her story didn't change. If anything, it became clearer and more detailed. She said that everything slowed. Her heartbeat, her breath, like the world had held its breath along with her. None of it made sense, yet somehow it was all too coherent to ignore. Dr. Santenno eventually reached out to local authorities, rangers, historical societies. He asked about the cabin. He described the location. Every response was the same. There is no structure there, not now, not ever. In absolute desperation, Santenno then did what very few doctors would. He went to the forest himself. The Marawasi Stone Forest is quiet in a way that feels unnatural. Not silent, but subdued. Local guides often refuse to go too deep. Some say the rocks and trees rearrange themselves. Others speak of music at night, echoes of another time. Dr. Santenno didn't find the cabin, and he didn't find peace either. He returned to Lima haunted, not just by what he hadn't seen, but by what his patient had felt. There was something wrong with that forest, something thin. He never published her case. Too risky, too strange. But he never forgot it either. It stayed with him. It lurked. Because deep down, he suspected that she had stepped, accidentally, momentarily, through a thin crack in the veil of our known world. And something on the other side had noticed. We trust science to light the dark corners of our world. But what if some shadows don't respond to light? Maybe she imagined it. Maybe she didn't. But the conviction in her voice, the clarity of her memory, those things linger. And the forest? It's the same as it ever was. Quiet. Waiting. If you ever go and hear music in the mountain forests, don't follow it. Some doors, once opened, never really close again. If this story made your spine tingle, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves the unexplained. Until next time, stay curious.